What's up? I'm Jhone, and you're in the Gen Zone. So, the Republicans haven't even taken control of the House yet, but the revenge they've been promising has already begun. Republican Representatives James Comer and Jim Jordan are the heads of oversight and the judiciary committees. So, of course, we all know what they're focused on: Hunter Biden and the infamous laptop. As I keep saying on this show, we keep it all the way 100. We've already called out President Biden for his inconsistent answers regarding Hunter, China, and Ukraine. We've also acknowledged that Biden's business dealings with Ukraine while he was VP under Obama look a little shady.
That's suspicious.
But the claim that Hunter and Joe are sex traffickers is absolutely ridiculous. The only sex trafficker we know of in Congress is Matt Gaetz. Just kidding. Well, maybe. But anyways, Comer and Jordan aren't planning to investigate this because of the trafficking allegations, but because Trump lost the 2020 election. They claim it's all about the American people, but it's not. The members of these committees feel that the whole story of Hunter's laptop was held back by the media so people would not be swayed away from voting for Biden. But you guys were super comfortable with James Comey telling the entire country about Hillary's emails just before the 2016 presidential election. And you felt that none of which Comey said swayed voters and that Trump won fair and square. So which one is it? I mean, let's not be hypocrites. Why don't you try to build bridges to the other side instead of blowing them up? Shout out to Nancy Pelosi. After 35 years in Congress, she's stepping down as the House Democratic leader. Her political journey dates back to the late and great President John F. Kennedy. And in 2007, she became the first woman to ever be elected Speaker of the House. Speaker Pelosi is no stranger when it comes to a fight.
So don't mess with me when it comes to words like that.
She was the highest profile, most outspoken opponent of the U.S. invasion of Iraq. She went head-to-head with then-President Bush and Vice President Cheney, rejecting the notion that there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, which turned out to be true.
You really don't know what you're talking about.
She also wasn't a fan of former President Trump either.
I'm going to punch him out, and I'm going to go to jail, and I'm going to be happy.
Congratulations to Nancy Pelosi. She didn't go to jail, but at least she let us know she about that life. Thank you for your service, and let's give her another round of applause. I have to ask, what is going on with COVID? 1 week they telling us get triple boosted.
Go, 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 get the shot. Go, get the shot. Go, go, get the shot.
The next week they're saying that Dr. Fauci is about to be investigated for forcing schools and businesses to close.
Do you wish to retract your statement of May 11th where you claimed that the NIH never funded gain-of-function research in Wuhan?
Senator Paul, I have never lied before the Congress, and I do not retract that statement. And if anybody is lying here, Senator, it is you.
Then y'all wonder why we don't trust y'all. Even the CDC comes out and says that they've made mistakes.
I think our public health infrastructure in the country was not up to the task of handling this pandemic. We made some pretty public mistakes, and we need to own them.
Right now, no one knows what is what or who to trust. And like we've said before, New York is paying people retroactively for them getting fired for not being vaccinated. So what about those who got vaccinated even though they didn't want to, but they didn't want to lose their jobs? And don't think that we forgot about that law y'all passed, saying that none of us can sue if the vaccine had adverse effects on us or even killed us. This is the hypocrisy that I keep talking about. And it's not the GOP or the Democrats. It's both. We have people that still think COVID is a hoax. And this is because there are no clear answers. And our leaders can't even be consistent on the matter. Well, it's winter. So now what? FTX. I know y'all heard about this. The cryptocurrency debacle that has cost people billions. The CEO is a 30-year-old horny toad that banged all his employees at the workplace. Talk about a Me Too movement.
Me too. Ah!
This guy had everyone living at the office in the Bahamas in what seemed to be the storyline of a bad porno.
The collapse of the FTX crypto exchange and its sister trading firm Alameda Research was the single biggest black swan event of the year in crypto. It has now been exposed that FTX is a sex cult and a secret hedge fund that paid off government officials to ban their competition and gambled away their customers' money while high on drugs.
Then, this guy either duped some of the world's greatest financial minds or, as he says, I just f***ed up. Either way, this is the story that has been told over and over again. But this is the Gen Zone. So we took the time to see what mainstream media was not telling us. Check this out. When the average 9-to-5 guy is investing in any market, his ability to do the adequate research is limited. But what about the hedge funds and companies like Thoma Bravo, who invested around $120 million of their clients' money into FTX? Then the CEO, Orlando Bravo, gave a public endorsement of FTX and told the world it was a good investment and that Sam Bankman-Fried was one of the greatest entrepreneurs he had ever met. Now that is a strong statement from a man in his position. I mean, shouldn't he be shouldering some of the blame for people losing $8 billion? Is it not his fiduciary responsibility to vet a company like this before investing and then telling the world how great the CEO is?
He's a genius, man!
I mean, this guy was as close to an insider as the definition allows. He was brought in to invest in the company by the CEO's father. Why is Orlando Bravo not being held accountable for endorsing a scam that he should have seen from the jump? I mean, the SEC went after Kim Kardashian for endorsing a company, and she's nowhere near a financial advisor. And Sequoia, they are no better. They bragged that Bankman-Fried lived his life by a calculus of altruistic impact.
What?
It seems like these men just had FOMO, and it cost people billions. Now, this is what I want the media to look into, because these guys aren't even crying foul. With $8 billion lost by the public, did these institutions get to liquidate through the public's wallet? I mean, I'm just a Gen Z kid, right? But even I remember Bernie Madoff, and I saw Wolf of Wall Street. Did any of y'all? Bottom line, take your money out of crypto. It's
Gen Zone.
Now it's time for our QAnon conspiracies. Now, the first conspiracy I'm giving no credence to other than to just say it out loud. So hopefully Q can hear how dumb it sounds. There is election fraud because a Chinese company, not Russian, called Connect Incorporated. Now, public records show that Connect is a Chinese subsidiary for the Yulian network that developed U.S. election software. So this is why there's fraud? Confused? Me too. But apparently, Connect Incorporated does all the election rigging in communist China. So the connection is clear. No, it's not, Q. Knock it off. We're not going down the road of China working with Biden or Hunter to rig U.S. elections. Just stop it already, okay? However, I rarely stay on the same topic twice, but this FTX thing has gotten so crazy that even Q did his own brand of research and chimed in with the I told you so. According to Q, this whole scandal is a Democrat circle jerk.
So we're gonna do this, or are we gonna have a circle jerk?
It seems that the money Biden sent to Ukraine for the war partially turned into an investment into FTX. Which is convenient considering that FTX donated millions to Biden and the Democratic Party. Q says FTX basically bought the Democratic Party and the midterm elections. Now, this is the part of the show that I usually debunk the QAnon conspiracy as nonsense, with a whole lot of proof to back me up. Unfortunately, this time, the proof ain't in the pudding. There is some real credibility to back some of these claims. So as the rest of the world unfolds this information, we'll hold off and just wait to see. But thank you, Q. We'll get back to you on this one. Following our conspiracy segment, I figured we'd talk about America's biggest conspiracy, the moonwalk. No, not that one. This one. In 2022, my 5G iPhone has absolutely no service in the Hollywood Hills. But we are to believe that in 1969, not only did NASA have the technology for man to land on the moon, but they were also savvy enough to live stream it in every American household.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Well, if we've already been to the moon, why is the media making such a big deal about this new rocket that took 12 years to make? And it's supposed to be the most powerful rocket ever made. Why would we need the most powerful rocket to travel someplace we've already been? If we used Scotch tape and Hubba Bubba bubblegum in 1969, why do we need space-age, futuristic jet fuel and $37 billion to go there now? Is there something up there that we just don't know about? Is the Trump sex tape up there? Hillary Clinton's server must be up there. Or is there another Hunter Biden laptop up there? Be for real. Each successful launch of the Artemis program will cost about $4 billion. And NASA projects that $93 billion will be spent by 2025. Yet we have a significant amount of homeless Americans. Last time I checked, there ain't no affordable housing on the moon. I'm just saying, there's better ways we could spend that money right here at home.
Genzo.
This week's top 10 is good. Since the Republicans have a little bit of power in the House now, here's a list of things they want to start immediately. Number 10, impeaching President Joe Biden. 9, investigate Dr. Fauci. 8, defund the FBI. That's a Marjorie Taylor Greene thing. 7, investigate Bill Gates and his land purchases. He does own a lot of land in the Midwest for some reason. 6, nominate Carrie Lake to the Supreme Court. 5, ban gay marriage. Not surprised. 4, ban interracial marriage. That's a touchy subject. 3, ban marriage altogether. It's overrated. 2, investigate all the contents of Hunter Biden's laptop. Oof, finally. And the number one thing on the House Republicans' to-do list, hire the hooker from Hunter Biden's laptop for all their private parties.
Genzo.
Hey, welcome back to the Gen Zone. Tonight we are going one-on-one with a pure Generation Z, politically aware voter, Sky Arroyo. Welcome to the Gen Zone, Sky.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Of course. Now, Sky, I've been seeing you on social media using your voice in terms of politics and keeping people informed. During all the protests, I know that you hosted your own protests in your hometown. What made you feel like you had to get involved in politics?
Well, I'm a political science major at Clark Atlanta University. So it was there where I honestly felt like we had a voice and we had so much power within the Gen Z, within our generation, within our communities. And I felt as though we weren't aware of how much power we had when it came to politics and how much our vote does matter and our vote does count. So I definitely wanted to get involved in politics and let people know that it's not as difficult or off-putting as it may seem, because I know a lot of people use big language and political terms that a lot of people don't understand, and they don't know what people are talking about. So I felt as though if I were to be able to translate what people are saying into simpler terms and into layman's terms, it would be easier for everybody to get more involved.
Well, thank you for realizing that and taking the time to be the translator to the youth and the younger generation to get us all involved. I appreciate that. We need more people like you. Since you are a poli-sci major, do you see yourself getting into politics, or do you just prefer to call out the politicians on their bull?
Honestly, I did want to get into politics and I wanted to be a politician, but I feel that you can do more work and get more accomplished if you don't try and become a politician. It's so much you have to compromise when you are running for office that I don't think that I can compromise on my beliefs and what I feel is right for my communities. So I'm off politics for now. Yeah, I'd rather just call the politicians out on their bull.
Right. You don't want to be a sellout. You want to stand for what you
Exactly.
believe in. You don't want to be swayed by money and funders and donors. You want to
Yes.
stand strong on your values. I appreciate that. You can't be mad at that.
Thank
So, as
you.
part of Generation Z, what does a politician have to do or say to get your attention or to get your vote?
Honestly, I feel that a politician today, the Gen Z vote is one of the most important votes that you can get right now. So I think that if politicians focused on raising the minimum wage, um, tackling the housing crisis that we're going through, abortion is a huge, 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 huge thing for Gen Z's voters. So I think those things, oh, and of course, the legalization of marijuana is very important. So I think if politicians focused on those few topics, they could definitely get some Gen Z votes for sure.
I agree. I think that mental health and like the awareness of mental health is another thing that's important to our generation. Do you kind of want to share your stance on that and how you feel about mental health and, Medicare and how politics can be more accepting, or even just society can be more accepting of mental health? And then maybe we won't have so many, crazy people going and mass murdering and shooting public places, if they weren't crazy. Like, can you share what you think about Gen Z and mental health and politics?
Yeah, I definitely feel like Medicare for all is also very important to Gen Z voters because we are very passionate about the mental health crisis that we see today in our communities. I feel that, especially within the Black community, it's very taboo to go get diagnosed with anything. And oftentimes we don't have the health insurance that will cover that. So that is not something that we even attempt to get taken care of. So I definitely think that mental health is very, very important for our voters for sure.
Being a New York citizen, I know you go to school in Atlanta, but you was born and raised in New York.
Yeah.
Mayor Adams is getting a lot of backlash for the crime that's in New York right now. The term black on black crime is used when tragedies happen in our communities. Is that what's happening in New York right now? And do you think that it's just our communities that are creating the rise in crime?
No, I don't think that it's just our communities who are contributing to the rise in crime, nor do I believe that crime is more rampant than it has ever been before, especially in New York. And I personally, I feel that Mayor Adams does a lot of fear mongering, and the media does play a part in it. And it makes people, New Yorkers, believe that we're living in some crime infested city. And that's just not facts. That's just not the case. Crime is down significantly compared to the 1980s or the 1990s. Crime was actually 5 times higher during the 80s and the 90s than it is now. So I don't think that crime is out of control. I just feel like the media plays a part in it and makes people feel like it's going crazy when it's really not. And I really do hate the term black on black crime. It is just crime. Nobody walks around saying, oh, white on white crime, or if a school shooting happens, no one says it's a white on white crime. With the war that's happening with Russia and Ukraine, no one says, oh, it's a European on Europe. Nobody says that. So I feel that black on black crime is really a term used by white supremacists and people who want to put the blame on black people when really we are not any different than any other race. And unfortunately, a lot of the crime that we see in our communities is due to the economy and poverty. And in any city, in any state, in any country, the correlation is always the same. Where you see poverty or more economic inequality, you see more crime. And that's just the facts.
I find that very interesting because, you know, some of the top states with the highest crime rates are Republican-led states, like Louisiana, like Missouri, like Oklahoma, right?
Yes. Actually, in 2020, the murder rate per capita was higher in Oklahoma than in New York and California. So it is not a New York City thing or a Democratic city thing. It's crime is just crime.
Crime is crime, and crime is everywhere. And I wanted to point out that, you know, a lot of people feel like they don't feel safe when they're in urban communities or, well, the ghetto. They don't feel safe in the hood. They wouldn't be caught dead, you know, walking through the hood. But in all actuality, I don't feel safe walking around just being black in a predominantly white neighborhood. Like, there are places in western Nebraska that I would not go to because I know that I would not be safe. So it plays both ways. And as a country, we need to get to a space where we both can feel safe no matter where we're at, no matter the color of our skin, no matter our gender, no matter our sexuality. We need to get to a space where we know that we're safe. I feel like using the terms like black on black crime and trying to further divide us and separate us helps with the agenda of not keeping us unified, because together we are strong as and that's where the change can really, really happen.
Yeah, I definitely feel like back in the 80s and the 90s and even the early 2000s, when you don't have TikTok and Instagram and Twitter and all of these social media platforms putting these stories and sensationalizing these crimes, of course now we're looking at it like, oh my God, this is crazy. But it was the same things were happening before social media. We just didn't know about it because we didn't have social media. So if it didn't happen in our communities, it was like, I'll never know. And I think that definitely contributes to how much people think that Black people are more crime driven than any other race.
So I gotta ask, because since we are, you know, the social media generation and information is more accessible and we're easier to contact, I just have to know, are the Democrats like flooding your email, like asking for funding?
Yes,
Like MoveOn.org sends an email asking for $2 here, $5 there every time something happens.
Yes, it's ridiculous. All I get is emails from Nancy Pelosi and Bernie Sanders asking me for money, asking me for money. And I'm like, I don't have no money to give you guys. Like, you're supposed to ask the big donors. That's what you're supposed to ask, not me, who's working paycheck to paycheck. Like, that's crazy. And honestly, even the political ads that you see on TV are just ridiculous and they're overbearing. Being in Georgia, I see Herschel Walker commercials all day long on all platforms, Hulu, the cable, whatever it is, it's all day long. And at this point, it feels like you guys are kind of bullying Herschel Walker. Like, I know he deserves it, but like, it's too much. It makes you kind of feel bad for him more than, oh, I shouldn't vote for him. So I think, yeah, it can be a little too much with the political ads and the texts and the emails. Gen Z voters don't like to be annoyed.
Well, we do call them punks all the time. So if for once they are being the bully, I'm kind of happy for them. Sorry.
I do give them a round of applause for that.
Round of applause for them. Thank you. Is there anything else you wanted to share with us today?
No.
Let them know your Instagram and website and all the other stuff where they can follow you.
Skyview.tv. That's
There
my
we go.
political Instagram. So,
All right. Thank you.
thank you so much for having me. This was a great experience.
Chenzo.
To close out, I want to shout out my appreciation to those who volunteer their time during this charitable season. But remember, whether it's the dead of winter or the high heat of summer, those in need still need help with whatever you have. You don't need much to give. Any act of kindness means something to someone. So in the spirit of this season and every season, let's pledge to having a spirit of giving. After all, we're all much better for it. 'Tis the season. I'm Jhone, and you've been in the Gen Zone.